Russia have lost 400 troops in one battle. Russia and North Korea may have lost around 400 troops in a single attempt to capture the village of Makhnovka in western Russia's Kursk Oblast last week. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky relayed the news from General Oleksandr Syrsky, the Ukrainian commander-in-chief, on Saturday. In battles today and yesterday, near just one village, Makhnovka in the Kursk region, the Russian army lost up to a battalion of infantry, including North Korean soldiers and Russian paratroopers. Makhnovka, which lies in the no-man's land on the eastern edge of the 250-square-mile salient Ukrainian troops carved out of Kursk in August, has been the scene of fierce fighting for days. Videos circulating on social media depict Russian and North Korean troops marching into the village and coming under attack by Ukrainian infantry, tanks, and drones. The 4-mile stretch of the front line between Makhnovka in the north and Plekov in the south isn't the most intensive sector in Kursk, but it's possible the individual fights in Makhnovka and Plekov have been bloodier. Attacking in 3 waves across open fields outside the Plekov, on December 14, more than 500 North Korean infantry eventually managed to eject the 100 Ukrainian troops holding the village. But marching without much support across snowy fields, the North Koreans were easy targets for the retreating Ukrainians' drones and artillery. North Korean losses, killed and wounded, may have accounted for more than half the attacking force. Last weekend's Russian attack on Makhnovka may have been even costlier and less successful. Not only is Makhnovka still in the gray zone between Ukrainian and Russian control, there is some evidence that Ukrainian troops, possibly from the 61st Mechanized Brigade, 36th Separate Rifle Battalion, or attached territorial brigades, actually advanced a short distance around the same time as many as 400 Russians lay dead or wounded on the same terrain. The heavy casualties on the Russian and North Korean side is beginning to weigh on the 2-month-old Russian-led counteroffensive in Kursk. In Kursk Oblast, combat operations have intensified to the maximum level, forcing the Russian grouping there to expend all available resources, the Ukrainian Center for Defense Strategies reported. This comes at an extremely inconvenient and disadvantageous time for them, the group added. If intensive fighting continues for another 5 to 10 days, the Russian grouping will need to be rapidly replenished, as it is already suffering significant losses in counter-battles. This replenishment can only be achieved by redeploying forces from other sections of the front. This has significantly strained Russian defenses, as they had already suffered from weeks of heavy losses in both manpower and equipment. The renewed Ukrainian offensive has alarmed Russian military analysts across the board, with claims ranging from a stable defense to a full-on collapse of the Russian front line. As you already know, the weeks of ongoing battles severely depleted Russian and North Korean resources, causing gaps in their lines to appear and forcing them to call additional reinforcements from the Donbass regions. Meanwhile, for the second time in 2 weeks, Ukrainian forces have blown up a headquarters belonging to the Russian 810th Naval Infantry Brigade. The battered brigade, one of the lead units for Russia's 2-month-old counteroffensive in western Russia's Kursk Oblast, just can't catch a break. The precision raid hit the 810th Naval Infantry Brigade's headquarters in Belaya on Tuesday, according to the Ukrainian General Staff in Kyiv. It's unclear what munitions the Ukrainians used, but Belaya is only 20 miles east of Suja. They may be included US-made high-mobility artillery rocket systems firing guided rockets, or Army tactical missile systems ballistic missiles. The beleaguered 810th Naval Infantry Brigade has been on the receiving end of a disproportionate share of this firepower. On Christmas Day, the Ukrainians struck a separate brigade headquarters in Lugov. Shortly after the Christmas Day raid, the 810th Naval Infantry Brigade rotated off the front line on the northwest edge of the Kursk salient and motored to Plekhov, just east of the salient, for a brief period of rest. The 2,500-person unit needed the break. The 810th Naval Infantry Brigade and its sister unit in the Kursk counteroffensive, the tragic 155th Naval Infantry Brigade, have been badly depleted by 2 months of mostly failed assaults on the salient. Today, Ukrainian troops repulsed yet another attack by the 810th Naval Infantry Brigade around Pogrebki, the Ukrainian Center for Defense Strategies reported. The Russian Marines have thrown at least 2 400-person battalions at Pogrebki since November, with nothing to show for it but casualties.